Just a quick note before we jump in, everyone. Please keep in mind that this audio program is an AI-generated analysis.
Right, exactly. A fully AI-generated discussion.
Yeah. But welcome, friends of the show. Welcome to this detailed technical review.
Glad to be here.
So imagine knowing that your, I don't know, multi-million-dollar software deployment is just going to completely fail. And you know this, like 3 months before a single line of code is even committed.
Which sounds like magic, but it's actually where we're at right now.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're doing a comprehensive analysis of how artificial intelligence is, well, it's not just automating your spreadsheets anymore, right? It's literally predicting the future of your projects.
It really is.
We're unpacking the core concepts from the book, Project Management with AI for Dummies by Daniel Stanton. Because, the modern project manager is dealing with a really intense, complex environment.
Oh, incredibly complex. I mean, we're talking about Industry 4.0 and now even the emerging Industry 5.0.
Right. And you just can't rely on historical data and, like, human intuition anymore. Not when you have thousands of moving variables.
You really can't. That assessment is, well, it's exactly why this integration is so necessary. But before we even get into the specific software, we really need to define how this stuff actually works.
Yeah, lay the groundwork.
Exactly. Like, we have to draw a really strict line between basic automation and true artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Because they get confused a lot.
They really do. So break that down for us.
Well, automation is just executing predefined rules, right? Without any human intervention. It just follows whatever instructions you program to do repetitive tasks.
Okay, so it's just following a script.
Right. But artificial intelligence, that involves systems that actually learn from raw data. They recognize complex patterns, and then they make predictive decisions completely on their own.
I always think of traditional automation like a train running on a fixed track.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, like it does its journey really efficiently, but it literally can't deviate from those steel rails. So if, I don't know, a fallen tree blocks the path, the train just stops. And it waits until a human comes and clears it.
Exactly. It has no flexibility.
But AI functions more like an advanced GPS in your car. It's actively monitoring real-time traffic.
Right, constantly taking in new data.
Yeah. So if it detects a road closure ahead, it doesn't just stop. It dynamically calculates an alternative route to make sure you still get there on time.
That dynamic recalculation is the perfect way to look at it. And to understand how that works in business, we have to talk about the tech behind it.
Okay, let's get into the weeds a bit.
So we have narrow AI, which is designed for very specific focused tasks. And that's exactly what we see in project management software.
It's not trying to take over the world. It's just trying to manage your schedule.
Right, exactly. And within that, you have machine learning, or ML. That's what lets these systems ingest all your past project data and actually improve.
Give me a real-world example of that.
Okay, so say your last 3 marketing campaigns went way over budget during the design phase. The ML model will automatically flag the design phase of your current project as a high-risk area.
Wow. So it's warning you before you even start.
Exactly. Then you have NLP, natural language processing, which lets the computer understand human text, and LLMs, large language models, which process massive data sets to give you those really coherent, context-aware responses.
And that ties into generative AI, right? Like drafting documents.
Yes, generative AI can create entirely new content. And all of this works through what Stanton calls the information value chain.
The information value chain. Okay, how does that flow?
So it takes raw data, like time logs, right?
Okay.
It structures that into information. Then it analyzes that to build knowledge. And finally, it delivers insight.
Insight, like, hey, your development team is about to burn out.
Exactly. Actionable insight.
That's huge, because taking raw data and turning it into that kind of insight, it totally changes how you handle project
Oh,
methodology.
completely. It disrupts the whole framework.
Like, let's look at Agile. In an Agile setup, you aren't manually calculating sprint capacities anymore. The AI looks at past sprints and helps with dynamic task prioritization.
Right. It knows your velocity.
Yeah. So if a key developer, suddenly takes medical leave, the system just automatically redistributes their story points to the rest of the team.
Based on what they can actually handle.
Exactly. And in waterfall, which is so rigid, the AI is amazing at predicting bottlenecks.
Because waterfall is all about dependencies.
Right. So if a supplier is late with materials in phase 1, the system instantly sees how that ruins phase 4, and it adjusts everything downstream automatically.
And, it even works for hybrid frameworks, allocating resources across sprints and sequential phases at the same time. But to justify paying for all this, you have to measure it.
Oh, for sure. The executives are going to want to see the numbers.
Always. So a project manager has to set up strict KPIs, key performance indicators, and you split these into two buckets.
Quantitative and qualitative. Right.
You got it. Quantitative is the hard data. The exact number of hours you saved not doing paperwork, or the drop in data entry errors.
The easy stuff to put on a chart.
Right. But the qualitative metrics are just as important, even though they're harder to track. We're talking stakeholder satisfaction, team morale, decision clarity.
And when you track both, you get your actual return on investment.
Exactly. It creates this continuous feedback loop so you can keep refining the AI over time.
Okay, so we've got the foundations down, but let's talk about actually picking these tools and using them every day.
The fun part.
Right. So the book talks about using LLMs to draft foundational stuff. Project charters, risk registers, work breakdown structures.
Yep, it's a huge time saver.
And tools like Asana, Jira, Microsoft Project, they all have this AI built right in now. But let me push back on this for a second.
Sure, go for it.
If I'm a project manager and I just tell an AI to write a project charter, how do I stop it from spitting out some generic cookie-cutter document, like something that totally ignores how my specific company actually works?
That is the big trap. And the solution is prompt engineering.
Okay, so you can't just say write a charter.
No, absolutely not. You have to give the AI incredibly detailed context, explicit constraints, target audience profiles, historical data.
You have to guide it.
Right. But the real way organizations solve this is by building custom generative models.
Oh, so they feed it their own stuff.
Exactly. You upload your past charters, your internal SOPs, all into a secure, closed system. So the AI learns your specific corporate language and your constraints.
So it actually sounds like Jim from accounting wrote it.
Right. It formats it your way and aligns with your strategic goals.
That makes a lot more sense. And then once you have those documents, you get into workflow automation using APIs and connector tools like Zapier.
Which is where the magic really happens, bringing different apps together.
Yeah, so they just talk to each other without a human in the middle. Like, imagine a client emails you asking for a massive scope change.
Which is always a headache.
Always. Normally, you'd read the email, copy the info, open Jira, make a ticket, ping the team.
A lot of manual data entry.
Right. But with an automated workflow, the connector tool triggers the AI to read the email, understand the change, build the detailed ticket automatically, and drop a notification in the team Slack channel.
And instantly, you've cut out the human error of copy-pasting the wrong thing.
Exactly.
And that automated data collection, that feeds right into data-driven decision-making.
Okay, how so?
Because now the AI can use predictive analytics to forecast your timelines. It looks at how long similar tasks actually took historically, not just the wildly optimistic estimates people usually give.
Oh, people are terrible at estimating time.
The worst. And this also lets you do advanced scenario planning.
Like running simulations.
Exactly. Say your executive sponsor randomly slashes your budget by 15%.
A total nightmare scenario.
Right. But you can ask the AI to simulate that financial impact. It instantly gives you a revised project plan showing exactly what you have to delay or cut entirely to hit that new budget.
That is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And it's not just the planning side, right? It changes how the team actually collaborates day to day.
Oh, totally. The book uses this collaborate framework.
Yeah, let's look at three big ones there.
Yeah.
First, real-time language translation.
Which is a game changer for global teams.
Literally. People on different continents can just type or speak in their native language, and the AI translates it for everyone else instantly.
It breaks down so many barriers.
And second, automated meeting transcriptions. It records, figures out who is speaking, and pulls out the action items into a searchable doc. No more designated note-taker.
Thank goodness for that.
I know, right? And the third one is smarter scheduling. Because we all know the absolute agony of finding a time for 8 busy people across 4 time zones.
It can take days just to schedule a half-hour call.
Yeah. But the AI just scans everyone's calendars, finds the overlapping free time, and sends the invites. Done.
It's beautiful. So with collaboration smoothed out, you hit the actual execution and monitoring phase. And AI maps out complex task dependencies here.
Right, where task B can't start until task A is done.
Exactly. So if task A is delayed, the system automatically shifts the schedule across the whole project board. It recalculates the critical path in real time.
Which saves the PM from having to manually drag 100 little Gantt chart bars around.
Yes. And crucially, it also manages the team's workload dynamically.
To stop people from burning out.
Precisely. It constantly monitors how many concurrent tasks everyone has. If it sees one developer is completely overwhelmed, but another one has free time, it flags it.
And recommends shifting the work over.
Right. It keeps the resource distribution fair and efficient.
Which brings us to a massive shift in how we handle risk. We are finally moving from reactive risk management to proactive.
Which is where AI really flexes its muscles.
Yeah, like traditional risk management is basically a weather app. It just tells you, hey, it's raining on your construction site right now.
Which doesn't help much once the materials are already wet.
Exactly, it's entirely reactive. But AI is like having a dedicated meteorologist on staff. It's looking at atmospheric data, wind patterns, all of it.
So it can see the storm forming.
Right, and it tells you, cover your materials 3 days from now before the storm hits. You prevent the damage instead of just reacting to it.
That is such a crucial difference. And the engine behind that is the continuous AI risk cycle.
How does that cycle work?
First, the system constantly scans all your data for early warning signs. Second, it analyzes how bad the impact could be on your timeline.
Okay, identifying and assessing.
Right. Third, it recommends specific mitigation strategies based on what worked for similar risks in the past. And finally, it monitors your implementation to make sure the risk is actually neutralized.
And I imagine this ties directly into the budget, too.
Oh, heavily. It optimizes cost control by spotting financial risks super early. It uses concepts like earned value management, comparing planned value against actual costs.
So it can project your final costs accurately.
Exactly. It predicts budget overruns months in advance, giving you actual time to pivot and save money.
But keeping an eye on all these predictions requires serious reporting.
It does. You can't just use static spreadsheets anymore.
Right. The AI automates these real-time performance dashboards. So instead of spending your entire Friday making reports, the system generates customized views for everyone.
Which is great because an executive wants a totally different view than a team lead.
Exactly. Execs get high-level financial metrics, team leads get granular daily task updates, and it sends real-time alerts the second a KPI goes off track.
But handing over this much control to an autonomous system introduces some really severe vulnerabilities.
Oh, absolutely. Governance is huge here.
You have to govern it strictly. We have to talk about ethical AI use. And the biggest issue there is algorithm bias.
Yet recognizing and fixing that bias is critical because bias happens when the training data itself has historical prejudices.
Right. The AI doesn't know what's fair, it just knows the data.
So if you train a system on past projects where, say, certain groups were always given lower value tasks, the AI will just learn to keep doing that.
It just replicates the inequality.
Yeah.
Project managers have to constantly balance efficiency with fairness.
And then there's data protection, which is just as scary. You have to implement strict protocols for anonymizing data.
Stripping out all the PII, the personally identifiable information.
Right. No employee names, no sensitive client details going into the AI. Everything has to be encrypted. And you have to stay compliant with stuff like GDPR and CCPA.
Which is non-negotiable. But interestingly, AI is also a defensive tool here. Organizations use it for endpoint security and automated incident response.
So it catches cyber threats faster than a human could.
Exactly. But, beyond security, the absolute hardest part of all this is managing the human element.
Managing the change itself.
Right. The book leans heavily on the ADK ROM model for organizational change, ADKAR.
Okay, walk us through that acronym.
It's 5 steps: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. People need to be aware of the tools, desire to use them, know how they work, have the ability to access them, and then get reinforcement to build the habit.
Okay, let me pause you right there because I want to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, what's the issue?
How does a project manager genuinely build that desire component when team members are sitting there with a very logical fear that this AI is just going to take their jobs?
That's the elephant in the room, isn't it?
It really is. If I'm a data analyst, why on earth would I desire a tool that can do my job in 10 seconds?
It's a completely fair question. To build that desire, you have to fundamentally shift the narrative. And you have to do it by actually showing them, not just telling them.
Showing them how.
You prove that the AI is there to kill the boring, tedious administrative work, not the human worker.
Okay, so position it as an assistant.
Exactly. When the AI handles the meeting scheduling, the data entry, the basic reports, it frees up the human to do the creative problem solving and the complex stakeholder management.
The stuff the AI is terrible at.
Right. And when an employee actually experiences that, when they realize they don't have to spend 4 hours on a Friday copy-pasting spreadsheet rows anymore, their resistance melts away.
Yeah, I guess when it directly elevates the quality of their day, they actually want to use it.
Exactly. The desire becomes genuine.
So as we wrap up this comprehensive analysis, we should look at Stanton's final recommendations for getting started with all this.
The big takeaway is start small.
Right. Launch pilot programs, test the AI in a controlled space before you force it on the whole company, and prioritize your data quality because it's the classic garbage in, garbage out rule.
Oh, 100%. If your historical data is full of errors, the AI's predictive insights are going to be completely wrong.
Which leads to terrible strategic decisions.
Disaster. And the author points out a few other massive mistakes to avoid. The biggest one is losing human oversight.
Yeah, AI should inform the decision, not make the final call independently.
Never let it make the final call without review. Also, don't misinterpret the insights. You can't just blindly accept an AI recommendation if you don't understand the context behind it.
And obviously, moving too fast and ignoring the ethics and privacy rules we just talked about.
Right, that's a quick way to ruin your company's reputation.
But it's happening fast. Look at the tools we mentioned, Asana, Jira, Smartsheet, MS Project. They are aggressively integrating this stuff right into their interfaces.
It's unavoidable at this point.
But I do have one final question about rolling this out. How do you balance the author's advice to start small with the reality that executives are breathing down your neck, demanding massive immediate financial returns on these expensive AI tools?
That is the ultimate tension for a project manager right now. The secret there is highly strategic metric reporting.
Okay, explain that.
You do your small, focused pilot program, but you rigorously measure the quantitative metrics of just that pilot.
So you find the hard numbers.
Right. Say you track the exact hours saved on one repetitive report over a single month. You take those localized efficiency gains and you extrapolate them for the executives.
Ah, so you show them the immediate ROI on a small scale to keep them happy.
Exactly. It buys you the time and the approval you need to scale it up safely across the rest of the company.
That makes perfect sense.
And, as this tech shifts from just being a basic automation tool to becoming a truly autonomous agent, the core value of a human project manager is going to totally transform.
It has to.
Yeah. It's moving away from just organizing tasks and shifting entirely into orchestrating these really complex interactions between humans and machines.
Which is a profound shift.
Yeah.
And if you want to really understand that shift, we highly recommend that you grab a copy of Project Management with AI for Dummies by Daniel Stanton. It's packed with great frameworks.
It really is a fantastic resource.
So thank you for joining us today, friends of the show. We'd love it if you subscribe to the program so you don't miss our future technical reviews.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Have a great day.